All right, guys, we're here live right now at the Sauce and DJ Bobby podcast.
Yeah.
That's
episode 9.
That's
Got
right.
my boy DJ Bobby here. We got a special guest in the house as well, and we're going to introduce you in just a second. But first of all, what we always do is, you guys already know, we always shooting the shit.
That's right.
That's what we doing.
That's right. Glad to be here.
Hey, always. I know you said for me to go to shoot the shit, but Bobby, you over here in the limelight. I'm hearing people, they're hiring you right now. They're going to your shows, I heard the other day.
Yeah, man. No.
And just wanted a little bit more about what was going on with you this past week, my man.
Hey, appreciate that, Gio. Great start to the podcast. You know, it's been real great, man. I've been DJing all over SoCal, from LA to OC. I was actually this past weekend. I was actually over at Motorsport Auto Parts, and they had a demo. They had a slingshot demo. You know, pretty dope. You never know what you're gonna encounter as a DJ. So it's amazing, man. Appreciate that. I got a show coming up. You know, Space Talk. I'm playing there again over in Pomona, P-Town.
Sugar free.
Let's
go.
You know, got to represent them, man. Super excited for that, man. And I got a great shows coming up. So
that's awesome.
Appreciate
Bobby.
that, man.
Hey, and that's great to hear. The next thing I want to say is that I want to introduce my special guest.
Yes,
this
right.
gentleman right here, I've known him for a few years. Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny. We met at a furniture store, and he actually interviewed me for a job there during the pandemic. And the man gave me a shot, you know, and he was like, he's like, you know what? You remind me a lot of myself, man, when I was a youngster. So, you know, we're gonna go ahead and put you on. But the main general manager wants to put on someone else on. But we're gonna put you on anyways. I was like, all right, I'm down, man. So let me introduce my man. He's from the East Coast, from New York.
Yeah.
He's from all over. He's been in Cali. He lives it out here, but he's always bred from the East Coast.
Absolutely.
My man, Brenden King, right here, man. Brenden,
Thank you.
Give it up.
Yo, Gio, thank
Give
you.
it up,
my man's right here,
Give
man.
it up.
Let me get a cheers to that. Now, my boy
Cheers,
Brenden decided to bring the Remy,
Got the
Remy, and
Stay
I know
classy,
we got the
baby.
Death Row too. Let me get a swig
It's
real
all
quick.
about the dirty water, man. Gotta have the dirty water on
That's
deck.
right.
Yeah, he wasn't kidding.
Yeah.
I just
I
had
think it's
Remy right now, man. It was good.
That's
Real
the first
good.
time you had Remy?
Yeah, first time.
Yeah.
First time I had Remy.
Oh,
I think it was my
okay,
first
shit.
time too.
Really?
I think so.
Oh, look at this. I'm
Yeah.
changing lives over here.
There we
Popping
go.
cherries. Changing lives, popping cherries.
What was the first time you had Remy?
Man, you know, honestly, bro, like my mom was a big Remy drinker. Like she used to always have a bottle of Remy Martin, and that was her thing. And then, like, I remember one time I tried it, and I was like, "Yo, this shit is disgusting. Like, what? How the fuck do they drink this? This is crazy." And then, you know, and then when you just kind of hang out with your boys, and everybody was Henny. So Henny's way stronger, way harsher than the Remy Martin. You know, so you start drinking Henny, and then you kind of just build the lungs for it. And then, you know, so now this thing is like water, you know, compared to the Henny.
Man.
You know, so we wanted to keep it classy, you know what I'm saying?
You keeping it
right,
classy.
man. Yeah.
I'm feeling the East Coast classy. I'm loving it.
Right.
Feeling really good.
This episode 9, it was very meaningful to me. And because I have him as a special guest, Brenden, it's about fatherhood.
Fatherhood, man.
Fatherhood. So we got
Say it again.
Fatherhood.
Fatherhood. That's right.
What does that mean to the
Fatherhood.
people out there? Because Father's Day is coming up next Sunday on the 18th, right? And I just feel like fathers don't get enough credit where credit is due. Whether you're with the family all together, everyone's either married or you got this big relationship and you're holding it down for you and your family, or whether you're a single father. And sometimes that could be, you know, a little bit harder for a lot of people out there mentally.
Yeah.
And we just coming off of the last episode about Mental Awareness Month, which was last month, guys.
Yeah, man.
You know? So I just couldn't figure there's no better person to talk about with fatherhood is with Brenden.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Brenden, do you mind if I ask you a couple deep questions?
Nah, shoot, man. I'm ready,
Okay.
man. Let's talk about it.
First off, how was your upbringing?
My upbringing. So my upbringing, from what I can remember, honestly, man, you know, my mother and I call him my father. I call him my father for now. He's actually my brother and my sister's father. In the early years, I really remember them doing the best they could. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always remember my mom had like this money green Jaguar. You know, she was working, doing her thing. My brother, my sister's father, he was working for the sanitation department. He had a high-ranking position in the sanitation department. And I remember life being good, man. I remember being good. And then I remember like he lost his job. He was doing like some BS. I don't know. He was like, instead of giving people tickets, like businesses giving them the tickets, he would like kind of negotiate with them. Like, look, you hook me up with this, I won't give you a ticket. And that shit came back and bit him in the ass, and he lost his job. And I remember that as a kid. I remember that as a kid. And then, you know, I just kind of remember like, I don't know when the decline started, you know what I'm saying? Like where, you know, it wasn't an easy upbringing. We moved around a lot. You know, I do come from a life of, I don't want to call it poverty, man, because I've been to other places like Dominican Republic and outside of the US. That's real poverty. You know what I'm saying? Saying that. That's real poverty. So I can't say I grew up in poverty, but I grew up with a tough upbringing, man. I grew up in the South Bronx. You know what I'm saying? We moved all over the Bronx. And you know, I do recall my moms and my pops struggling, you know, with drugs and doing the best they can. And I think a lot of things maybe changed when his because I'm not his biological son, you know, and I think that maybe when he had his biological son, my little brother, shout out my little brother Neil, who I love to death. He lives up in California. He's up by Tracy, love him to death. And you know, I think maybe things kind of decline further because it's kind of like that's your blood, you know. I have my sister, so I'm the oldest.
So basically, what you're saying is that you never really met your real dad.
No, bro, I didn't meet my real dad till 09.
09.
Wow. I didn't even know about my real dad till 09. You know, and the catalyst of that was my daughter, my firstborn daughter, London.
So you have other kids. Okay, how many kids do you have?
So I got 2 biological and 1 adopted.
Wow.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And can you kind of elaborate a little bit of the struggles and things? Like were you able to be a part of their lives like as much as you could, or how did that go?
Yeah. So really I call him my adopted son. You know, legally he's not adopted, but he's my son. His name is Zacchaeus. Call him Zach for short. He lives in Texas. And me and his mother dated. We met back in New York. And you know, in the beginning, his dad was around, but I think maybe he got a little jealous of me and mom's relationship. And then he decided he didn't want to be in his son's life anymore.
Wow.
And I remember him literally being on the phone I was sitting right next to my daughter's mother, and I heard him through the phone, and he was like, basically, excuse my language, but he said, yo, let you and that nigga go take care of him. You know what I'm saying? Let him take care of him. And I remember I took him to McDonald's one day. We were sitting at McDonald's, and he said to me, he said, I want to know why my daddy don't love me no more. That's what he said to me. I want to know why my daddy don't love me no more. And you know, coming from the past that I come from, that really affected me because I grew up not knowing my biological father.
Yeah.
So I didn't know about my real father until I was about 14, 15 years old, when my mother decided to really break the news to me and tell me, like, look, the man that you thought was your father growing up ain't your father. Yeah,
like that?
Yeah.
At what age?
Yeah, I was probably like maybe 14, 15,
Wow.
somewhere.
Can I elaborate on that? Is that and that's why I felt like, you know, when you first met me in that interview at the furniture store, like about a couple years ago.
Yeah. What year was that, man? That was 2020.
Yeah.
2021.
Was there
Yeah,
the pandemic?
I'd love to know more about how you two met. Like,
And I'll get to that, but to elaborate on that is like, dude, I didn't find out that my dad wasn't my real dad till the 5th grade.
That's crazy, bro.
I thought the whole time, I was like, okay, Timothy Plemmel and my whole teammates, because he was my coach, my basketball coach.
Wow.
He was like, yo, why that's your pops? I didn't know that was your pops. You don't look nothing like that guy. Your dad's 6'4", blue eyes, red chest hair. He's a white guy, German.
You're about 6'4"?
Yeah,
You're about 6'4", right? You're about 6'4", 6'3", 6'4"?
6'4" when I'm wearing the Reebok Zigs.
You're close.
But Bobby, and then at 5th grade, that tore my heart apart, man.
It changes you, bro.
So, you know, here I am trying to find the way.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I couldn't find the way anymore.
Right.
And then when we talked about what we talked about in the past, you know, and then I get kicked out of my house at 16.
Same thing, bro.
You know, I'm hanging out in the streets.
Right.
I'm trying to hang out with gangsters.
You're looking for direction.
But they don't even want to hang out with me because they're like, you're too good of a guy.
Wow.
To be a gangster. We could take you underneath our wing, but you don't deserve to do any of the stuff that we do.
Same
Gio.
thing, bro.
So
Yo, Gio,
is that
same
the same
thing. Gio, you speaking my language. It's apples to apples is what you're saying. Like, you know, I think what happened was when, you know, you find that out, it's an anger. You angry at everybody. You angry at mom. You angry at the person who you thought was your dad, you know. And for me, it was a little bit more traumatizing because me growing up, I always felt like my brother and my sister's father, like if he had to discipline my little brother and my little sister, it was kind of a conversation. but more so when they had to discipline Brenden, it was more so with the, you know what I'm saying?
With the
like,
whipping.
like with the slap up
That's
beside
what
the
I
head.
had too.
You know, I even recall my mom telling him one time, like, yo, you put your hands on my son way too much. Like, you got to chill with that. It was just so easy for him to do that. And then,
man.
and I never kind of really understood it. And people, you know, like, it builds trauma over time, bro. Like, you got to grow up and deal with. And for me, when I found out that he wasn't my dad, it was just like, you know, at that age, at 15, you like, oh, the fuck, you know what I'm saying? So one time, I'll tell you a quick story. One time, I'll never forget this. We was in my grandmother's apartment. I was playing Mortal Kombat, the old Mortal Kombat, Sega Genesis, Mortal Kombat.
Kombat's the best.
Right.
You played that, right, Bobby?
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
of course.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mortal Kombat, playing Mortal Kombat. So I'm playing, and you know, if you probably don't remember, but in Mortal Kombat, like when you playing, going through the regular game mode, if somebody jumps in, it takes you all the way back to the beginning. You had to kind of start over and go through it again.
You had to start over.
So I remember
that.
my little brother coming in saying, like, yo, I want to play. And I was like, nah, you gotta chill, you gotta wait. And he was like, I want to play. I don't even remember how old he was at that time. He's like, yo, I want to play. I said, yo, you gotta wait. And I remember my little brother being like, you a bitch, right? Like, and I, you know, this is just little sibling rivalry.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, yo, I took my back of my hand, I kind of like popped him in his mouth, like, yo, watch your mouth. And bro, it was just like, you just, like when you get hit and you see stars, like a flash, and you get that ringing in your ear, because that's what it was. It was just like, like, where'd that come from? You know what I'm saying?
Someone
Like,
hit you?
this nigga smacked me. Like, don't hit your
The stepdad?
Yeah. And
Wow.
and I reacted. And at that time, knowing what I had known, like, look, you're not my dad. You're not gonna put your hands on me. Him and I got into a fist fight in my grandmother's house. We got into a dead fist fight because for me, that anger came out like, yo, you're not my dad. You're not gonna put your hands on me. And I remember yelling at him like, yo, you're not my father. You're not my father. Yeah. And obviously, you know, I'm like 15, whatever. He got that grown man strength, so he holding me down.
Oh yeah.
And my grandmother trying to break us up. And you know, it was a lot. My aunt lived downstairs on the second floor, so I went down to her house to cool off. But for me, it really changed me, bro, because I felt like, you know, you're not my father. And anytime you put your hands on me, I'm gonna fight you back. And him and I got into a couple fist fights. We got into a fist fight probably like 2 or 3 times.
That's tough.
And what that did for me, it was just kind of like, it put me in a sense of like, well, I if I could fight a grown man, I could do anything. And that's kind of when I think maybe I might have transitioned to the streets a little bit more.
Yeah,
and then kind of felt like, thought I had it figured out, man.
But
and
just really
kind of spiraled after that.
And Brenden, we're gonna talk about, you know, more about towards the end and the things that, and then how you overcome a lot of adversity.
Gotta overcome it, man.
What I want to know is, Bobby, did you ever grow up? Now I know you're not a father, but you're young. You're an inspiring person. He's a DJ. Yeah. You're only 22, right? And you want kids one day, right?
Yeah, most definitely, man.
And we're gonna go and talk about that a little bit more. But can I ask you something just a little personal?
Yeah, go ahead.
Were you ever, like what he said, got in a fight with your dad? And it's okay. You got to tell the truth on that.
Oh no, definitely. And I appreciate you guys telling all these stories. You know, my story. I grew up in a very very nice neighborhood, and me and my dad, we would get into like verbal. But never laid a hand on me. My mom too. Never laid a single hand on me. You know, I come from a Mexican family from my mom's side.
So you can get hit with chancleta, nothing?
No, nothing.
No, you weren't bad.
No, hey, I guess so. I guess I wasn't too bad. I feel like high school a little. I you know, that was a little rebellious, you could say.
Did you get grounded?
maybe.
Okay.
Maybe
Bobby's
a little
just such a nice guy.
Bobby's a great dude,
Bobby's
man.
Nice
you never got
but you know
grounded.
what, man?
Up, man?
I can't really relate to that.
Can I chime in?
Yeah.
He's talking about when his dad put hands on him, the stepdad.
Yeah.
I can remember a pretty crazy story. So my dad, like I told you about that, I thought he was my real dad. My real dad is in Mexico somewhere, and he's like a part Italian. And he's got another family on the side, supposedly. You know, the moms will say whatever they got to say for you to stay away from them.
Right.
And I don't even know if any of that stuff is true.
Man.
But what I'm going to tell you is this. When he talks about those fights, the only thing I could think about is my dad, who's a hard worker, Timothy Plemmel, and he stays in Gardena. He's a good dude, the German guy. Like I said, he was my coach my whole life, Brenden, Bobby. Right. He coached me in every sport. And I was a starter. He made sure to let me know, hey, we're not related. We're not related because I don't want them to know that we're related.
Wow.
You know, because I don't want no favoritism. But I'll tell you what, though. He was a hard worker, machinist, and then at that time making $100,000 a year back in those days, that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
But the guy would get off work at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and he would go straight to the Hustler Casino in Gardena. Or the Normandy Casino, which is called a Lucky Lady.
Major gambler.
Major gambler. Wasting all this money, right? And then the money is part of my mom's money. So what do you think he did after that? Then he would go to the titty bar, go to Stars. He loved the sisters. He loved the sisters. And he would spend all this money. He would come home drunk, makeup all over his shirt, perfume, and my mom would be upset, which I understand why. But he would be passed out on the couch, but my mom's just beating his ass. And while my mom is beating this guy's ass, I'm over here 8, 9, 10 years old. And I got 2 younger sisters. And then next thing you know, she's calling Torrance PD.
Oh,
and then I'm hearing the sirens as we speak.
Right.
And Torrance PD is pulling up to my crib. And what do you think I'm doing? He didn't do it. I didn't really understand it. Like I knew he did something wrong with that, but he never laid hands on my mom. So when he was outside and they were talking to him and shooting the shit, guess who was outside with him at the same time? I was.
Right. How many times that happened?
Oh, shit, like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times.
Yeah.
And going back to what he was saying, some shit would happen where I don't know what would happen, but I remember one time he came through and it was late at night. It was like 9 p.m. at night. We got in an argument. He's drunk as fuck. The dude's 6'4", and now we're throwing hands.
Yeah, well, to elaborate on that, like, yeah, you're at such a young age, you don't really understand.
You don't understand.
You don't understand the full extent to the situation.
So check this out. We took the fight from inside of my bedroom. I'm in middle school, and we took the fight outside in the lawn in a quiet neighborhood in North Torrance off of 187th and Yukon. Probably.
Everybody watching.
The dude had his fists. Think about a 6'4" man. His hands are twice as big as mine. My hands are small.
Right.
It's embarrassing to show that. Look how small that is.
You got some little ass hands, man.
So I wear size 9 though. Right? 9.5 on a good day. But bro, he had his hand in my mouth. Like literally his whole hand. I was choking to death. I somehow was able to flip him over. I don't know how I did it. And as I flipped him over, now I'm on top of him. And I just remember that guy, rest in peace. What's his name? The wrestler with the makeup, with the long hair. What's
Ultimate
his name?
Warrior?
Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, what's his real name? I don't know his real name.
I don't know his real name, but the Ultimate Warrior.
The Ultimate Warrior saved you, bro?
Bro, he saved me, bro. I swear. I'm throwing bombs like this, jumping in the air. Boom! 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 Undertaker. Is it Undertaker? No, his Ultimate Warrior.
Ultimate Warrior.
So what I did. Check out what happened the next day. Check out what happened the next day.
Bro,
it's okay. Check out what my dad's probably getting the trip right now. Check out what happened the next day. He couldn't breathe. What do you think happened?
Lung collapse?
Broke his ribs. He went to the doctors. They said he had broken ribs. Guess how long it took him to heal broken ribs?
That's a healing process.
Like
bro.
4 weeks.
Right. That's a process.
You think he fucked with me ever since after that?
Absolutely not.
No, he knew I was a pit bull.
Right.
But I didn't feel good about it though. I didn't feel good about it. I was very upset, bro.
Right. That's a lot of trauma, man.
And that has to do with what you have going on. So
a lot of trauma, man. And then you know what's crazy about it is like when you go through those things, you can probably relate, Gio, is like when that happens, you don't have another figure to kind of mentor you or guide you through the process. Like I didn't know how to deal with that, fighting with this man. Like no one came to me and said like, hey, look, how you feeling? Like, this is how you can manage it. You just relax. Don't worry about it. I didn't have that. And it was the streets that gave me that. The streets gave me that. The streets are the one that came to me and said, hey, look, yo, don't worry about that, bro. Look, I got you. I'm going to show you how to get over that. Come with me.
Talking about the streets, you told me when I first met you, it was probably like, I can remember it like it was yesterday, Brenden.
Right.
I was a month into the company, Bobby, at the furniture store. Just a month in.
One of my best sales guys, by the way.
I put it on.
Sales professional.
Sales professional.
I'm
not a sales guy. I'm not a sales guy.
You're right.
I'm a sales professional.
That's
Thank you. Thank you, Bobby.
That's right.
But I was a month in, and I have the video. It's crazy. I still have it till this day, and I show people, and it's in black and white. We're sitting there at the furniture store, and he's looking at all my numbers.
Oh yeah,
and he's like,
yeah.
You're number one in
Gio
this.
put up some numbers I had never seen before.
There we go.
I ain't gonna lie.
Except for you.
I mean, I ain't trying to. You know what I'm saying? Gio was my guy.
Hey, so I really want to elaborate on that. So, so you were the manager at the
sales manager.
Sales manager.
Yeah, so sales manager. So I remember I was there one day, and I think you walked in. You had on like your work uniform. You had on the. I ain't gonna mention the place you was working at before.
It's all right. You can say
LA Fitness.
LA Fitness.
Gio walked in. He had the LA Fitness. Brand on.
Yeah, represented.
And that's how it is, man. Energies just connect. That's how it is. Energy attracts other energy, bro. That's always how it is.
Same way.
Right. And I remember just talking with him, and I was like, bro, like this dude got the energy, and we just had this connection. I was like, yo, we got to bring this guy in. And the store manager at the time, her energy was different. So she wasn't really feeling Gio. She was like, nah, I think I want to go with this other person. And I was like, yo, look, listen, we gonna bring this guy in because this is what we need. Right. And that pit bull was still in him. That pit bull he talking about was in him. So when Gio came in, man, and I just kind of took him under the wing, and wasn't really much else that
you were like a father, bro.
Right. And
honestly,
you know, one
you
of
were
the
like
things,
a bigger brother, like a father.
Yo,
low key.
I don't remember the conversation we had that day, but you said something to me, bro, that resonated to me to this day. You said to me, I had said something to you, and you was like, damn, man, no one ever said that to me. Like, you said something to me like, yo, I feel like Kobe Bryant speaking to me or something like that. You had said to me,
you got
that
powerful
day.
Words, man.
Yeah, thank you, bro. And I just knew we had to have him, and he came in, and Gio rocked, bro. He just rocked. And I remember you came back, and you brought like some cupcakes or something. Like right after we hired you, you came back to the store, and you brought a box of cupcakes or something. You was like, yo, this is for the team. And I had never really seen that before. And I was like, yo, this dude is gonna be a star, And I do feel like had I been a store manager at that time, you probably still would have been with us. And thriving.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? But that's how we met, man.
But here's the thing. The one thing that stood out to me was when you started being a little bit more in depth. You were deep with me, and I was asking you a little bit more about like where you're from and this and that, because I told you how passionate I am about being a New York Jet fan.
Jets fan. I don't.
To this day,
it's crazy because two people in the store, you and we had another manager. He was our office manager. They both diehard Jet fans, and that was amazing to me because I'm like, I'm in California and I got two diehard Jet fans, and I love that being from New York.
He's a Giant fan.
I'm a Giant fan. Giants, Knicks, Yankees, man. Obviously, you know what I'm saying.
Rocking the Knicks all day.
Right.
But Brenden, I could remember, and my man Solomon right now, he's gonna put it on. But there was something that you told me. You were like, yo. Man, you know the movie Paid in Full? And I'm thinking to myself,
Paid in Full,
bro, I've
man.
seen that movie
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? We could clip right here.
Yeah, we all know this movie, man. Great movie. Shout out to Cam. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Wood. Yeah, there we go. Kyle Fife. Yeah, man.
You never seen that movie?
145th, baby. I miss home, man. Shout out to Harlem. 145th Broadway. Shout out Willie Burgers. Rest in peace, Willie Burger, man. We miss you. Great burgers. Yeah, man.
Brenden, you told me about that. And I looked at your eyes. I thought you were kidding. I thought you were joking. But I knew that you weren't.
Oh, sorry.
But because this is one of my favorite OG gangster movies.
Right.
What is all that about?
So let me tell you how I ended up here.
Can you tell me?
Let me tell you how I ended up here. Let me tell you how I ended up here,
know.
right? So this is crazy, right? So I'm gonna tell you a story. So what happened was in high school, I went to Manhattan Center for Science and Mathematics, right? Manhattan Center for Science and Mathematics. Great school, one of the top high schools in New York, right? I didn't want to go there. I wanted to go to aviation high school because I wanted to kind of work on planes and fly planes. I grew up with Top Gun and Iron Eagle movies, and I always thought I wanted to fly. You know what I'm saying? I still do. And I ended up going to Manhattan Center. And one day, the thing about Manhattan Center at that time, it was a fashion show, bro. It was a fashion show. And my family, we weren't there. We weren't, everybody, you had kids going to school rocking $100 Tommy Hilfiger shirts and Jordans and Timbs and all that. And that wasn't me. My family wasn't there. So I kind of felt like I didn't fit in. It was a fashion show. And so I got caught up with a different crowd. The crowd I hung out with, we smoked a lot of weed. You know what I'm saying? I hung out with this girl named Alice and this other dude named Raphael. And we used to cut class all the time, man. Go smoke weed, play hooky, do whatever. And I never forget, bro. It was my homegirl Alice's birthday. And I'm like, yo, let's smoke a blunt. So we like 4 or 5 blocks away from the school, man. We walking, we smoking, chilling. And I get a tap on the shoulder, and I turn around, And at the time, I'll never forget his name. His name was Mr. Valedon, right? Great teacher, highly influential, really smart. Wow. And he was my history teacher, but he was also one of the deans. So he walks up on me and taps me on my shoulder. I got the blunt in my hand, smoking.
Wow.
And I'm like 14, bro, 15.
14?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah,
Okay.
smoking. And I'm like, I turn around, I'm like, oh shit. And he's like, yo, man. And he said, look, I'm gonna give you an opportunity. He said, you can go home and tell your mother, or I can tell her. And I was like, yeah, you know, I'll tell my mother. Right, the fuck out of here. I'm not gonna tell my mother shit, right? I'm gonna tell my mother. Yeah. So he's like, okay. And I get home, and as soon as I get home, my mother grabs me up. You smoking weed? What the fuck? And I'm like, oh man. So it gets back to the guidance counselor. Her name was Miss Cleary. And like I said, I'm young, so they sitting there talking to me. They want to put me in a drug program, and you know, and I'm sure everybody heard of Phoenix House. You know, Phoenix House was big. I don't even know if they still around, Phoenix House. Damn. And they like, yo, you got to send him here because if you don't do this with him, he's gonna do this and da. Bro, it's called high school. Fucking high school. You get fucking high in high school. Give me a break, man.
Mom, did you get high in high school?
Shit, I did.
Hey, we fucking get high in high school. Can we get the alarm, man? Can we get the alarm for everybody that gets high in high school, man? So, you know, so anyway, and I didn't know, man. I'm just doing what my mom tells me to do, what the guidance counselor tells me to do. So they put me in Phoenix House. And when I got to Phoenix House, it was crazy, man, because I was in there with people that didn't smoke weed. People was doing heroin, coke, all types of crazy shit. Flavor Flav was in there.
Flavor Flav.
Phoenix House, 72nd Street in Amsterdam. If you still there, I don't even know. Flavor Flav, you see this. You know you was there, Flav. I seen you. Yeah, Flavor Flav was there. We used to go and see Flavor Flav all the time, right? So anyway, long story short, so I'm in there with a group of individuals, and this is the crazy connection. I got to stretch this out a little bit because the connection is crazy. So I'm in there with all these individuals, and that's how I ended up meeting my man D Gritty, man. Shout out my man D Gritty, man. D fucking Gritty, you my fucking boy. I love you, dog, and I hope you see this. I'm gonna make sure you see this because you my boy, and I love you, man. Shout out to the Teamsters. You know that's who we are. I always rep the TMS, always, all the time, man. And it was my boy D Gritty, my boy Stacks, and my boy Daffy, and that's how we met. We met at Phoenix House, right? That's where we all hung out at, and I didn't feel like I needed to be there because I'm like, yo, I just smoke weed. But I'm in there with people who going to jail and doing those other shit. Like, this isn't rehabilitation. You put me around kind of the wrong people that I don't need to be around. Yeah. And after a while, I was like, yo, fuck this. I don't want to be there. And they were like, yo, if you don't finish the program, you can't go back to Manhattan Center. Like, they're not going to bring you back. So I found myself in a real bad place after that because I was still smoking weed, and they eventually kicked me out the program. And I was just kind of like in a lost place. So anyway, everything happens for a reason, right? Things need to happen so things can happen. So fast forward years later, you know, I've been locked up and all that, man. I did time on Rikers. I've been to Rikers a couple times. Did time on Rikers a couple times.
Is that county?
That's considered, I guess, the city jail. Rikers Island is the largest, juvenile detention center in the country.
Got it.
You know, ARDC. I was in ARDC, Juvenile Detention Center.
I spent my time too out here in Cali.
Yeah, yep. Yeah. I was locked up in Rikers, and then when I came home from Rikers, my mom had moved to Harlem. Okay. I grew up in the South Bronx.
So now you're in Harlem.
So I grew up in Harlem. So I'm on 153rd in St. Nick, Sugar Hill. You know what I mean? And one day, bro, I'm walking down the street, and my man who I had been in Phoenix House years prior, my man Stacks, we literally, and I was just talking to my man D Gritty about this the other day. I'm walking in the street, and literally we passing each other, and we just look at each other like, yo, I know you, right? And he's like, yeah, yo, we was in Phoenix House together. Oh, what's up? That's just what the universe does. Yeah. And then he's like,
big believer on
right, absolutely. Oh God, yeah, 100%, right? And then so he like, yo, I gotta introduce you to the team. We got the team, you know, blah blah. And then D Gritty, I'm like, oh shit, like we was in Phoenix House together, and that's how I ended up in Harlem, and at that time. You know, my man Gritty, my man Bugs, shout out my man Bugs. Free my man Bugs, man. Free my man Bugsy. And, they were like, yo, we doing the music. And they was signed with Mace at that time. When Mace had All Out. Oh, hell yeah. And yeah, Harlem World. They was signed with Mace doing all that. And I was just happy to be a part of all that. That's how I got the Teamster tattoo. So, if you've never heard of Teamsters, you could check Nelly's first album, Country Grammar. They was on Nelly's first album, Country Grammar. Yeah, 100%. Never Let Them See You Sweat is the name of the song. track number 15 on the Nelly album.
Yeah.
Diplomatic
play
Immunity.
that, DJ
Gotta play
Bobby.
that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? If you ain't never heard of it, it's a dope song. Don't Let Them See You Sweat. Then they did music on Diplomatic Immunity. You know, like before, like Joel Santana, all them, before they really blew up, they used to chill in the crib. My man D Gritty's crib, come up, chill, rap, Cam, Jim, everybody. Like,
Wow.
yeah.
Was it Cam?
Cameron, yeah, Cameron, yeah, Cam, yeah, killer,
Purple
yeah.
Haze.
Yeah, absolutely,
Wow.
absolutely.
That's
J.R.
awesome.
Writer,
That's
you
a
know,
guy.
like, but this wasn't. I wasn't never a rapper. This was me just being involved with them.
Just
you know
being
what I'm
you,
saying?
bro.
Just being me, being involved with them, and them introducing me to these different types of experiences. And so I grew up on Sugar Hill. You know, and if you know about Sugar Hill,
I've
there's a
heard Sugar
movie.
Hill.
There's a movie, old movie called Sugar Hill. It's legendary, man. You know, that's mob style, AZ. If you paid in full, that's, you know, rest in peace, Rich Porter. Shit, rest in peace, Alpo. Alpo, unfortunately, got, you know, past caught up with him just recently. You know what I'm saying? Shout out AZ. AZ still out there moving, doing this thing. And you know, I don't know AZ. I'm not gonna sit here and say I know AZ. We ain't never talked and did all that, but I do know who he is. And I even remember. Y'all know Rough Riders, the Rough Riders
bro.
DMX.
Of course,
Y'all know
yeah.
Dragon?
Yeah.
Yo, bro, I seen AZ slap the shit out of Dragon one day, right on 150th and Broadway, man. Like, slap the shit out of him one day. Drag, I love you, man. You from the Bronx, but I was there when AZ slapped the shit out of you. I seen that. I remember that. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
But
so,
yeah.
So hearing all this, you know, like you seem real connected, like with like all these different communities and like how would you compare like the East Coast compared to the West Coast? Like it seems like y'all are more connected out there.
It's culture shock, man.
Yeah.
It's culture shock. Like it's big difference. And just because, like, you know, kind of what I was telling Solomon, man. Me moving to Cali, it was a little socially awkward. And here's why I figured that out. This is my theory on it, right? Is because, like, for example, we ride the train, right? So like I might ride the train one day and see you, Bobby, right? And I might just see you, right? Day one. And I'm like, all right, cool. Day one, it ain't really nothing. But then a couple of days, we might get on the same stop, get off the same stop. Then 3 days, 4 days, maybe a week go by. And then I'm just like, damn, I see this dude all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Then I'm just kind of like, yo, bro, what's your name, man? I see you all the time. You live
That's
around
true,
here?
that's
Like,
true.
what's, you know? And you like, oh, yeah, I live here. Yo, I noticed we get off the same stop. And yo, what's, okay. So now, next time I see Bobby, he ain't just a stranger. Yo, Bobby, what up, man? What's going on? And then, yo, we want to hang out. And so you build that connection. Whereas here in LA, everybody's in a car. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
You only really connecting with the people at your destination. You're not really like chopping it up in between that. Like I'm chopping up with the people at work. I get to work, I'm chopping it up with the people at work. Then I leave work, maybe I hit the after hours spot and I see some people, then I go home. So it's just kind of like when I try to connect with people sometimes out here, they're like, yo, like maybe they think there's some underlying, you know, like I'm trying to maybe try to hustle them, and they say I talk slick, I talk fast.
You know what? I got one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know what? I want to bring it back to our topic of fatherhood.
Yeah.
You know,
I got some questions too.
because
I pull it up on the screen. I got
definitely.
some questions.
You know, I appreciate all you're saying, man.
Yeah.
You know, really truly awesome story. So I want to compare it to West Coast versus East Coast, like being a father. Would you say how would that differentiate? Like if you're a father in the West Coast, how is that different from being a father in the East Coast?
That's a good one.
You know, man, I learned a lot from my first experience in being a father. You know, I have my daughter, my biological daughter, my firstborn child is my daughter London Blue Reilly. You know, that's my baby. That's my firstborn.
That's a great name,
and
bro.
yeah, thank
That's
you, man.
amazing.
Thank you. And I gotta tell you, first, before I even answer that question, I gotta say, man, to the dads, like, you know, as men, we like, yo, our son, you know, you wanna have the son because that's your seed that you planting that's gonna carry a legacy. But my daughter changed my life, bro. My daughter 100% changed my life. Like I was in the streets doing all that, you know what I'm saying? I've been through the hustling, the gangbanging, all that, been through all that, bro. But my daughter was the one that came into my life and really slowed me down, gave me a different respect for women. Like I was never a womanizer, never to call a woman out her name, disrespect the women, but I had a lot of females, man. That was me. You know what I
He's
mean?
a good-looking guy. I mean, I love women.
Still
but
is,
God,
still
Yeah,
is.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I remember your birthday party over there.
That's
At the top
right.
of the hills.
Yo, that
man.
was fire. That was fire. That's right.
You should have been there.
Yo, that
I
was
should have
dope.
been there.
Overlooking Hollywood.
Yo, shout out my lady,
Shout out
man.
to your lady, bro.
She rented me a big
She
mansion out in the
killed
hills.
it.
She did. Shout out my girl, man. And I learned a lot. My daughter was the one that taught me, like, yo, you know, the things that I'm doing, I'm dealing with other people's daughters. You know what I'm saying? I don't want a man to treat my daughter the way kind of I was moving. So I really chilled and slowed down, and my daughter gave me a different perspective on things. And unfortunately, me and her mother, we didn't work out. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to progress. Me, I'm always looking towards the future. You know, like I said, I have a 9th grade education at GED. So I got to work a little harder.
Same.
Right. So, you know, we got to work harder, man. We got to hustle harder. Right. So for me, I was always trying to like go from A and get to Z, but she just kind of wanted to stay at A, maybe go to B, you know what I mean? And I'm like, nah.
Man.
And it just, we were just on 2 different paths.
Yeah.
And, you know, things didn't work out. She ended up wanting to move to Texas because she wanted to meet somebody else. She moved to Texas. She took my daughter. And that's a whole nother crazy story. I don't want to get too much detail of that,
it's tough.
But you know, I learned a lot, man. And now I have my new son.
You got a new baby now.
I got a new baby. Just had a new
What's
baby.
your baby's name?
Sebastian Neil Reilly.
Congrats,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, that's my baby,
He's about
man.
to be 1 year
He's gonna
old
be
next
1 year
week.
old on 23rd, man. He's gonna be a year old. Yeah.
And
yeah.
how's that changed your life now?
I learned a lot. Like I'm doing my best to not make the same mistakes that I made in the past. Like just trying to be more vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? Like being more patient. And doing my due diligence as a father, because he's my son. And what I've learned with these kids, and it's also kind of like even job related. What I'm learning is that it's not what you say to them, it's what they see. It's what they see. Like you try to say things to them, and no, don't do this, do that. But if they watching you do the things that you telling them not to do, they don't care about what you're telling them. They gonna do it. You know, because they following what you see. So I try to be as positive as I can in front of him. You know, like. Sometimes in the morning when I can't make it to the gym, he's in the house. I'll do my workout in front of him, push-ups, and you can see him watching me. Every time I look at him, bro, look at my guy. This is my guy right there.
Oh, wow.
This is my guy. What's up, baby? That's my guy right there. That's my guy.
He's even rocking the chain.
He rocking, yeah.
He's
you
so
know what I'm saying?
handsome,
That's
bro.
my guy right there.
There we
Thank you, bro.
go.
Thank you. Yeah.
Wow.
Who he look like, man?
He looks like your wife.
Okay. Oh, come on, chill,
Yeah.
man.
He does, bro. No, he does.
He do. I hear that a lot.
Little
No,
bit
he
of
do.
both. Little bit of both.
He do.
though.
He do. That's my baby. So definitely,
man.
I'm definitely been paying more mind to that, making sure I'm doing the right things in front of him, and being influential, because he's gonna be the one that carries the legacy, man. You know, he's the one. He is the one, because what we doing with him, man, is we breaking that generational curse. You know, we not, because you know what happened, man. Crazy story. Man, this is such a deep shit, man. Like my mother. I remember, bro, when my mother first told me about my dad. I remember it was the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble was coming on. I was at my aunt's house up in White Plains in Westchester, and the Royal Rumble was about to come on. And I remember my mom pulling me in the living room and just kind of telling me like, "Yo, look, the man who you thought is your father is not your father." That she'll say that that's not the story she told me, but it's the story I remember. And they say your memory is 50-50. 50% of your memories aren't even real. They kind of made up. But there's 50% that all. I'm gonna go with the 50% that is real. But she told me that she'll say to me, "I never told you that," but she did. She said, "Oh, your dad found out that I was pregnant. He freaked out. He ain't want nothing to do with you." Wow. So I lived with that, bro. For 28 years, I lived with that.
Yeah, man.
28 years. Imagine like going most of your life. I'm about to be 42 in August, right?
You look good,
so
bro.
thank you, bro.
Young,
you know,
young.
so for 28 years of my life, I'm thinking like, damn, why my dad ain't want me? Why my dad ain't want me? So when my son, my non-biological son, Zach, was 6, when he came to me and said, "Yo, why my daddy don't want me?" You can imagine how that ate me up inside. And I was like, "Yo, look, listen." And he said to me, he said, "Yo, I'm scared to ask you, but I want you to be my dad." And that's when I took the role of being his dad from 6. He's about to be 22 now.
Damn.
You know, so that for me, you know, my mom telling me that, and I remember like working at Foot Locker. I was a store manager at Foot Locker for a long time, and watching dads come in with their son to buy their first pair of J's, and I just never had that experience.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? It was tough, bro. It was tough growing up with that.
Wow.
So, you know, so now, you know, fast forward, like I said, going through the stuff I did with my daughter's mother. You know, my daughter's mother, you want to hear something real crazy? I'm about to blow your mind.
Yeah.
So my daughter's mother, right? What happened was she and I didn't work out. We didn't work out. So I moved out. I got my own crib. I met somebody else, right? I met somebody else. We was doing well. She met somebody else. She was doing well. Then one day she came to me and she said, "Y'all want to move to Texas?" And I was like, "What the fuck you want to move to Texas for? What's in Texas? You don't got no family, no job, no nothing. Why you want to go to Texas of all places?" "Oh, I met this guy. He wants to marry me and we're going to move to Texas." okay, you can move to Texas. You're not taking my daughter. And she was like, well, okay, that's not going to happen. So I had to go get a lawyer, had to get a paid lawyer, right? Shout out my man, Jason Wolf, right? It's been a long time. My man, Jason Wolf, right? Jason Wolf went and got a lawyer. And he said, yo, look, she can't do that. You have rights as a father. She can't do that. We're going to go to court, whatever the case may be. Had to get that man 4 racks, 4,000. 4,000. Get a paid lawyer, people. Get a paid lawyer. Trust me, get a paid lawyer. Have your money, hustle your money, put it away, have that lawyer money ready, always ready to go. So we go to court, and we get in the court, bro, and we going through the process, and the judge is like, hey, why do you want to go to Texas? And she's like, oh, I want to give my kids a better life. My lawyer's like, Judge, she met a man that she wants to go to Texas with, and she wants to take his daughter, and that's blah, 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 blah. And then she goes, yo, I don't know why he's trying to stop me. This ain't even his daughter. This is what she says in court. Swear to God, bro. I wish I should have brought the paperwork. She says in court, this ain't his daughter. And I'm like, what the fuck? So my lawyer grabs my arm. Like, yo, just chill. Don't let your emotions. And I'm like,
she was trying to get you to get you erupt.
Partially, maybe. But here's what happened. So the judge is like, yo, elaborate. She goes, yeah, he not the father. Her son's father. She tells the judge that her son's father is the father of my daughter, is the biological father of my daughter, right? So there's a law. It's called presumptive parenthood, right? What happened was my daughter's mother, when we met, she was still married to her son's father, right?
Oh, wow.
So we used to talk about it. Like, she always wanted to move forward, but I would tell her, like, yo, you got to get divorced before we can move forward and do anything. She had his name tattooed on her chest and all that. She went and got it covered up. And she told me that she did the divorce paperwork and everything. She's like, yo, it's done. We divorced. She filed for the divorce, but the paperwork wasn't finalized until like April, right? My daughter was born in January. So legally, under the law, when my daughter was born, because she was still married to her son's father, under the law, that's his kid. And I didn't know that. I had no idea. I'm a new father. I didn't know about the acknowledgement of paternity paper that you got to sign and all that. I didn't know about none of that. So I'm young, just trying to, I don't know. No mentorship. That's why it's important, man, that you got to be there. Like, you got to have mentorship, bro. You got to have men in your life that can guide you and talk to you and help you understand these things. I didn't know none of this. My lawyer even said, yo, you never seen your daughter's birth certificate? I didn't need to. When you get them in school and you go to the doctor, they don't ask for that. They didn't ask me for that, so I was unaware. Just a lack of knowledge was all it was. And the court was like, yo, we can't do nothing. We can't stop her. They could not stop her. So she was able to take my daughter from me and take her to Texas. And technically under the law, it was a 90-day jurisdiction. But the judge, gave me 6 months. Gave me 6 months jurisdiction because had I only had 90 days to figure it out, I could have lost my daughter, bro, and I would have had to go to Texas and start the whole process all over again. But unfortunately, things just kind of worked out, and I was able to, get it all situated. And at the end of the day, I probably came out of pocket about $7,000 just to get my name on my daughter's birth certificate, bro.
Man,
just to get my name on my daughter's birth certificate.
Yeah, wow, but so worth it.
So it was like what happened with me, and what kind of like what happened with my mother and my father, because. Crazy story. I just found out recently, I was actually conceived in California. The universe does crazy things, bro. Where I live at right now in K-Town, I found out that my mom and my pops lived in an apartment only 5 minutes away from where I live at right now, bro.
Wow.
And that's where I was conceived at. And then things didn't work out with my mom and my dad. And my mom ended up coming back to the East Coast. And it was kind of like, oh, you have a son, but you'll never really get to know him, and move my dad out the picture. And I just grew up on the East Coast thinking, so what my mother kind of did to my dad, my daughter's mother did to me.
And that's why we're here. It's like, you have this, and that's what I was telling Bobby. I was like, this is wild, bro.
It's wild.
It's an interesting story.
It's wild shit, man.
And that's why you're a special guest,
Yeah.
And
I think we're all special, man.
And you know what, Brenden and Bobby? Father's Day is next Sunday. And I don't know what you got going on, but maybe before that day, because I know you got a special lady. She's probably got something planned for you.
Probably, yeah. No,
but, for someone like me, who's a single father, and I'm battling every day, bro.
I see you, man.
Yeah,
You're doing a great job, Gio, man. You're doing a great job, Gio, man. I see you, man.
Boys. too.
And it's not as easy.
It's not, man.
And I always try to be there for them as much as I can.
You do, man. 100%. Always.
And I was racing over here because she demanded me to take him to the park today, and I did it, even though, you know, I had to get a haircut, I had to work out, I had to go to work, I had to be here at the podcast Palace with Solomon, and I was racing over here because you know, and then when I got there, the kid's grandma was like, "Oh yeah, they're already tired. I don't know why she told you to come over here," but I did what I did. But you know, I'm battling every day, and just hearing your story and everything, it just empowers me to keep the fight up. You know,
You got to, bro.
And I just hope maybe one day, I don't know if it's gonna be maybe on that day or before that day, but I would like to go break some bread with you.
Of course, bro.
I don't want to just do it just here, just doing what we're doing.
Right.
I feel like you know, I'll be cool if your girlfriend, your wifey would be okay with that, and
Yeah, of course.
your son King, and I call him King because you remind me because he is a king, and
Yeah, thank you, bro.
you know, and anyone else out there, all the fathers out there that are battling, dude, you know.
Yeah, it's a tough battle, man.
It's a real big thing. So shout out to all you guys.
Shout out to all the dads, man. Shout out to them, man.
Brendan's got an amazing story.
Yeah.
I just want to say shout out to Happy Dad.
Happy
Dads.
Dads.
Shout out to Bobby. We never never seen the Death Row Records. That was amazing. The Remy.
So yo, I got a question though. Like for you, man, like, I mean, everything that, you know, you went through, like as a grown man now, what's your perspective on dealing with your sons and how you want to raise them and making sure that, you know, we're really breaking those generational curses and like, you know, because you're a way more experienced father than I am when it comes to dealing with the boys. You got two of them, right? How old are they now?
Yeah, 3 and 5-year-old.
3 and 5. So for someone like me, what kind of advice like would you give to me to help, you know, just kind of going forward, going through the traumas that we dealing with or dealt with, I say?
Well, I mean, I wish I would have been there for her a lot more. You know, I wish you named some key points. Patience. I wish I would have done that, Bobby.
Patience is key, bro.
I wish I would have put her first more.
Okay.
And I fucked up on that stuff.
Everything happens for a reason, man.
And I'm still learning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not perfect.
Right.
But yeah, it's not easy, bro.
It's not, bro.
You know?
I feel that. No, you learn and you keep going.
Right
And
I'm fighting every day, bro. So you guys keeps me living, and what I do for work,
right?
And my boys.
That's right, man.
That's all I got, bro.
That's right, man. We love you, man.
I love you guys too, and I mean, this was an amazing podcast, guys.
Right?
Yeah, man.
Right.
No, it's
great.
It's all about fatherhood, you know.
All about fatherhood, man.
All about mentoring and really showing them the right path and I feel both of you, especially you, Gio. You know, I feel like you guys are doing the right thing.
Right.
You know, showing your boys and your daughter the right path. You know, and it's truly honored. I'm truly honored to be here on this podcast with you guys.
Thank you, bro.
You know, it's amazing, man.
Yeah. You know,
they can see this one day, and
they will, and they'll recognize. You know, and that's what it's all about, man. Like I said, what I say, it's not what you say to them, it's what they see. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta like.
Can you end it with the thing that you told me in the car that was just so amazing to me?
So yeah,
Could you end
absolutely,
it with that?
man. So what's crazy is that like man, like the universe just does amazing things. Like I'm not religious, bro. I'm not religious. I don't follow any religion or anything like that, but I'm highly spiritual, bro. I believe like we all have a purpose and our life is what we create. You know what I mean? And I've been learning this just kind of over like the past few years and just really like meditating. You got to meditate, bro. If you don't meditate, like practice it, learn it, because it does help you. You need that moment of silence to kind of like, you got to meditate and you got to pray. Steve Harvey said, I always thought they were the same thing, me. And I watched something with Steve Harvey say, he said, no, you got to pray and you got to meditate, because when you pray, that's when you speaking to God, right? Asking God questions. And when you meditate, that's when God answers you, right? And I was like, damn, that's deep. You know what I mean? So I've learned to do both. I'm practicing both a lot. And what happens is your vision kind of opens up. You know what I'm saying? You start seeing different things and hearing different things. And what I was seeing was that I would always see the number 9/11. 9/11, 9/11, 9/11. Everywhere I go, bro, see the number 9/11 on the clock, 9/11, 9/11, 9/11. And I was like I was telling him, you know, the movie with Jim Carrey, Numbers, like it's a movie called Numbers with Jim Carrey that came out years ago. Where he would always see the numbers and it would make him crazy. And I'm starting to say to myself, like, fuck, am I going crazy? Or like, what's happening? Why am I always seeing this number? So I looked it up and it said, if you see the number 9/11, it means the universe trying to send you a message. One chapter is going to close and a new door is going to open. And here I am. I grew up in New York. I never thought I would live in California, bro. Never in a million years. What the fuck am I doing in California? I'm from the South Bronx. What am I doing in California? Wow. But here I am in California living a whole new chapter of my life. Right? Oh, my wallet.
How long you been out here?
5 years, bro.
5 years.
Oh, man, I wish we had more time so I could tell you this whole story, but it's crazy, right? So anyway, I have 2 IDs. I still have my New York ID and I have my California ID. So the last address on my New York ID is 1670 East 174th Street. That's the address that's, mind you, I done had different addresses, many different IDs growing up in New York. But when my aunt passed away, that's the last apartment that I lived in because I moved into that apartment and was living there. That's the last apartment that I lived in before I moved to Cali. That's the address that's on my birth certificate. But I never knew why that address was on my birth certificate because the address I always remembered was 595 East 170th Street, was where I grew up in the Bronx. My whole family lived in that building. That's the address I remember growing up in. But 1670 East 174th Street is the address that was on my birth certificate. I never understood that. But that's because when my mom was out here in Cali, my aunt called her and said, yo, look, come back to New York and come live with me. So when I was born, I was actually born at 1670 East 174th Street, right? So that's the last address. Mind you, I done lived at many different addresses while I lived in New York. I had 3 or 4 or 5 different IDs with different addresses on them. But the last address for my New York ID is 1670 East 174th Street. So that address is where my life started. That's the last address that I lived in when my New York life ended. And then I moved to Cali. Ironically, I moved to Cali and moved into where I live at right now in K-Town. I lived in K-Town the whole time on Kingsley. My mom and my pops conceived me only 5 minutes away from there. My lady who I met out here, we've been together 5 years, her mother grew up in the Bronx. Her grandparents got married in a church 3 blocks away from the building that I lived in the Bronx. Oh my God. I grew up on 595 East 170th Street between Fulton and Franklin. 590 East 170th Street between Fulton and Franklin. Her grandparents got married in a church on 167th Street and Franklin Avenue. Her grandparents went to high school at Morris High School, which is one of the major high schools in the Bronx. I'm pretty sure her grandparents and somehow my family knew each other. Ironically, me and her meet in LA at a bar downtown. Wow. Right? So this is what the universe does, bro. And it just blows my mind every time.
And then, keep going.
So now I moved to Cali, my new chapter, right? 9/11, my new chapter, right? And I still see it all the time, 9/11, 9/11. So I start doing more research. I find out 9 and 11 are my master numbers, right? If you don't know about your life path number, everybody has a horoscope, but you have a life path number as well. My life path number is 1. I'm the number 1 life path number. The natural born leader is what it says my life path number is, right? So me and Gio in the car, I got to Gio's crib, right? I got to Gio's crib and I'm sitting in the crib and I'm just chilling, right? And I'm like, holy fuck. Gio said this is episode number 9 of the podcast. Oh, shit. Today's the 11th, bro.
No.
This is the first time I ever done something like this. I've never done nothing like this in my life.
That just hit me right now too.
And your dad is a comedian. And
my dad's a comedian, G. Reilly.
And he just started.
Look up G. Reilly.
G. Reilly.
G. Reilly. My dad does comedy. My dad goes on tour. If you know Fluffy, Gabriel Iglesias, my dad goes on tour with Fluffy. Wow. And my dad been touring, he done everything. My dad is actually the first African-American comedian to perform at Dodger Stadium. They did a show at Dodger Stadium last year, and we was there. My dad done Caesar Palace. They had a show on I don't even know what channel it's on now, but it's called Fluffy's Food Adventures. They did like 3 seasons. Fluffy. You can Google my dad, G. Reilly.
Well, he's amazing.
Yeah, I love my dad, man.
I don't want to cut it out.
Yeah.
That's what I was telling you when you were telling me the story.
Wow.
You always been meant to talk.
It's crazy, man.
Like my grandpa said, rest in peace, Grandpa Jim. You have the gift of gab.
Thank you, bro. And I've always said that's my gift from God. My gift from God is my gift of gab. That's always what it's been. It's got me through life, man. That's why I do sales, baby.
That's
why I do
amazing,
sales.
Professional, bro.
Sales professional.
That's right, man.
This is an amazing podcast.
Yeah, man.
I hope you had a great time.
I had a fucking amazing time. This is so dope, man. This is so dope. Shout out to Solomon, the setup, man. Shout out to you, Bobby. Thank you, man.
Appreciate that.
Gio, my guy, man. Love you, bro.
Love you too, bro.
Love you, bro.
That
For
was
real,
amazing,
man.
bro.
Fucking dope, man.
Bobby.
Man, truly
Yeah,
amazing, man.
Shit, great shit, man.
So, shout out to Solomon again.
Bro, for the
Amazing,
dope
amazing
setup.
place, man. We're definitely gonna be back.
We'll
Shout
be
out
back.
Happy Dad with it. Let me crack this
Happy
one.
Dad. Yeah,
Shout
you
out
got
Happy
it. Yeah,
Dad.
yeah. I'll
Hey.
take this one then.
Cheers to that one.
Cheers. Salute, guys.
Cheers. Happy
Hey,
Father's Day, man.
Happy Father's Day,
Happy
guys.
Father's
To the
Day.
fathers
out
guys.
there.
To the fathers.
Bro,
And then can I just say shout out to my pops. I appreciate you so much, man.
shout
Just
out to Pops, man.
to my pops. He showed me everything, you know, like I wouldn't be a DJ without him,
Right.
you know.
That's
Good
fire,
dude.
bro.
You know,
That's
so
fire, bro.
appreciate that, man.
Shout out to
And
Pops, man. Shout out to Bobby Pops, man. Bobby
Yeah.
Pops.
All the dads out there.
Right,
That's
all the
right,
dads, man.
man.
Happy
Appreciate
Father's
you.
Day, man.
Happy
We
Father's
appreciate
Day,
y'all. Right.
That's
right.
it right here from the Sauce DJ Bobby podcast. We appreciate y'all. Tune in to episode 10. Coming soon.
Right.
Yeah.
We out,
All
guys.
right, fellas. Great
All right,
job.
thank you guys.
man. Dope.
Peace.
Like.